with U.S. involvement raising fears of a regional war. Can Europe act independently while maintaining transatlantic unity? And do you think that the United States will intervene and be part of this war?
I'm delighted to join you today. And the short answer to your question is no. Very simply, why? Because today what they have convened is not even a physical meeting of European and NATO foreign ministers in Brussels or Luxembourg or Berlin or whatever. They have just done a video conference. So symbolically, foreign ministers are below the ranking of presidents and prime ministers, and foreign ministers don't decide about war and peace, but these guys haven't even met in person. They just spent 1 hour or 2 hours by video conference. So of course, if you are Iranian or Israeli and you watch the Europeans today, it's a joke. It's a joke. But who are the real European
Sir,
powers?
why is it a joke? It's a trial to mediate to stop the Israeli-Iranian war.
Because the real European powers, the real European Union powers are Germany, France, Italy.
Germany doesn't want escalation, sir.
No, but they are not in Europe today. So they are in Calgary attending the G7 summit, right? So
yeah, but they're still discussing in the summit what's taking place in Iran,
yes,
between Iran and Israel, and the conflict that's taking place over there.
Of course. But if they really wanted to send a strong signal, what would have they done in Calgary? You would have seen Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, Emmanuel Macron, the French President, together with Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister. You'd have seen them going into a side room and having a joint European meeting. After all, that's what they do for Ukraine. You know, for Ukraine, you see the Europeans theatrically moving to their own meeting room in Washington or Calgary or Ottawa and pretending that they are making decisions on Ukraine. Why don't they do it regarding Iran? That says a lot. So they are not implicated in the decision. But more broadly, clearly, all the cards are now in President Trump's hand. So Europe has never been weaker globally. And if we focus on Western Asia, the Middle East, Iran, Israel, in that part of the world...
Sir, why are all the cards in the U.S. President Donald Trump's hands now? Why?
Because, and this is difficult to understand for Europeans, but it's also difficult to understand for other people, Trump is not a neocon. So he's often described as a right-wing reactionary neocon in the mold of George W. Bush, right, or Liz Cheney. He's not. Actually, in Europe, in Paris, Berlin, London, today, and it's really a cruel irony, you have more neoconservatives. So today, European policymakers, not all of them, but many of them, their worldview is that of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. And so the one who's kind of it's difficult to understand because it's a paradox. Here, the big paradox, the only one truly believing in peace in the Middle East is Trump. And it's hard to understand because, of course, in Gaza...
You said the only one that's believing in the Middle East at this point is Trump?
At this level, at this level of decision-making. And it's hard to understand because, of course, in Gaza...
Oh, so you want to say he is the decision-maker, but not in Gaza, the one that cares for the Middle East.
In Gaza, he gave a free rein. So in Gaza, Trump gave a free rein to Israel. And so that's why it's difficult to understand. But in Iran, he is not giving a free rein to Israel. So completely different from the situation in Gaza. And so that's why Trump is holding the balance of power. So he's the one who can tilt the balance one way or another. And quite frankly, Trump doesn't like the Iranian regime, right? Don't get me wrong. He has no sympathy. He has no sympathy for Ali Khamenei, the Murshid, the Grand Ayatollah. But he's a realist. He's a cynical, blunt realist. And in the broader context of the Chinese-American Cold War II, the big game, the great game, he doesn't want to destabilize Iran. Israel is making a very different calculation from Trump. Israel, they really want to destabilize Iran. So here we see diverging interests. And that's why I'm saying Trump is the only one who can keep the peace in the Persian Gulf today. As it's a paradox, I know it's difficult to understand.